When we talk about Leonardo da Vinci, the conversation almost always starts and ends with the Mona Lisa. But if we truly want to understand the origins of his genius, we must look much earlier, to a portrait that is often overlooked, yet holds secrets proving his mastery from the very start: the portrait of Ginevra de Benci. Completed around 1474, this painting of a young Florentine noblewoman represents da Vinci's first serious foray into portraiture. It's a breathtaking piece, capturing a quiet, almost melancholic beauty against a shimmering background of a juniper bush, a deliberate visual pun, as the Italian word for juniper, ginepro, references her name, Ginevra. But the true mystery, the element that confirms Leonardo's unique intellectual approach, isn't found on her face or the landscape. It resides on the back of the wooden panel, and even more recently, within the very microscopic layers of paint itself. We're going to explore how Ginevra's portrait is perhaps the purest embodiment of Leonardo's innovative spirit, blending art, poetry, and forensic evidence. Ginevra de Benci was born into one of the most prominent banking families in Florence, a world deeply intertwined with the powerful Medici. At the time of this portrait, Ginevra was likely around 16 or 17 years old, often cited as being painted to commemorate her 1474 marriage to Luigi Niccolini. However, art historians often suggest a more complex narrative. The painting exhibits a certain detachment, a coolness that moves away from the traditional celebratory portraits of the era. The distant, thoughtful gaze and the slightly melancholy expression are hallmarks of Leonardo's early attempts to convey inner psychological states, a radical departure from the flat, formal portraits that dominated the 15th century. He uses light and shadow to model her features with an unprecedented realism, demonstrating the very first glimpses of the technique he would perfect later, sfumato. Understanding this context, a young artist experimenting with psychology in a formal commission is key to appreciating the layers of genius hidden within this single wooden panel. Let's take a closer look at the aesthetic choices da Vinci made on the front of the portrait. Unlike many of his contemporaries who use dark, solid backdrops, Leonardo sets Ginevra against a vibrant, naturalistic setting dominated by the juniper bush. This choice immediately adds narrative depth. The meticulous detail in the foliage is characteristic of his early training, but the hazy, almost atmospheric treatment of the distant landscape demonstrates his growing understanding of aerial perspective. He uses a technique known as impasto to build up the light colors, particularly in the hair and forehead, making them seem almost illuminated. Note how the light source appears to be coming from the upper left, casting soft shadows that define her elegant structure. The pose itself, a three-quarter view, slightly turned away, was innovative for female portraiture at the time, lending her figure an unprecedented dimensionality and sense of presence. This wasn't just a likeness, it was a captured moment of introspection, something revolutionary for the 1470s. Before we delve into the reverse side, we must acknowledge a crucial fact. The painting is incomplete, or rather, it was historically truncated. Originally, the panel was significantly longer, and it would have included Ginevra's hands. Based on comparisons with other early Renaissance portraits and technical analysis of the existing panel, it is believed that the lower third of the portrait was intentionally sawed off at some point in history, likely due to damage, perhaps fire or water damage to the lower portion. This is a profound loss because it eliminated the section where Leonardo might have introduced symbolic gestures or even more complex visual poetry regarding her identity or status. If the painting was indeed meant to commemorate a marriage, the hands might have been clasped or holding a symbolic item. The current height is about 15 inches, but it is estimated that the painting originally stood closer to 20 or even 25 inches tall. This amputation means we are only looking at part of the artistic statement da Vinci intended, which makes the remaining symbols on the reverse side even more vital for interpretation. Now we turn the painting over, and the masterpiece transforms into a puzzle box. The reverse side, or verso, is not merely bare wood. It is decorated with an intricate symbolic emblem, a striking wreath composed of a laurel branch and a palm branch, intertwined around a sprig of juniper. This design confirms that da Vinci treated the panel itself as a complete three-dimensional sculptural object, integrating poetry and visual art seamlessly.
Below this central wreath, painted in elegant golden script, is a succinct Latin motto, Virtutem forma decorat, which translates to, beauty adorns virtue. This deliberate dual presentation, a sophisticated portrait on the front and a philosophical emblem on the back, was highly unusual for its time and points directly to Leonardo's intellectual curiosity. He wasn't just hired to paint a face, he was hired to create a commentary on the sitter's character, status, and moral value. The careful geometry and execution of this emblem reveal the early emergence of the analytical mind that would define his later career.
Let's meticulously decode the symbolism on the verso. The juniper, already a visual pun for Ginevra's name on the front, features again, subtly linking her identity to the powerful classical symbols. The laurel branch traditionally signifies triumph, poetry, and lasting glory, often associated with intellectual or artistic achievement. The palm branch, on the other hand, frequently symbolizes moral victory, resilience, and specifically Christian virtue and martyrdom. When these two are intertwined, they typically form a powerful statement of achieved merit and elevated character. They suggest that the subject, Ginevra, possesses both intellectual prestige and high moral standing. But who designed this emblem? It is strongly suspected that the emblem was designed not by Leonardo, but by Bernardo Bembo, a Venetian ambassador and poet who harbored feelings for Ginevra. This suggests that the reverse side functions almost like a personalized coat of arms, a highly intellectual and personalized gift from an admirer, executed by the most talented young artist in Florence.
The Latin motto, Virtutem forma decorat, beauty adorns virtue, is the philosophical cornerstone of the piece. This phrase speaks directly to the Renaissance ideal, where physical beauty was considered a reflection of inner moral excellence. It wasn't enough just to be beautiful. Your outward appearance had to be validated by your virtuous character. If we accept the theory that the emblem was commissioned by Bembo, this motto takes on a poetic and deeply personal tone, praising Ginevra not just for her looks, but for the inherent goodness they cloak. This dedication to Ginevra's moral qualities is further emphasized by the inclusion of the palm and laurel. The careful placement and elegant execution of the motto show Da Vinci's willingness to integrate literary and philosophical concepts directly into his visual work, turning a simple portrait into a complex piece of humanistic philosophy. This is the hallmark of a true Renaissance mind, one who views art as a vehicle for complex ideas, not just representation.
The interpretation of Ginevra's portrait is not unified. It remains a subject of heated scholarly debate. Some insist the portrait was indeed a conventional marriage piece, despite its melancholic tone, commissioned by her family. However, the personalized emblem and motto on the reverse strongly point toward the unconventional patronage of Bernardo Bembo, who was publicly captivated by Ginevra. This leads to the most romantic and perhaps tragic interpretation. The painting commemorates not a wedding, but a period of intense, unrequited admiration. The psychological detachment and quiet sadness on Ginevra's face could reflect the social constraints placed upon her as a married noblewoman, unable to reciprocate the poet's high praise. The cut section, the missing hands, could have been a deliberate act later in life, perhaps by her husband's family, seeking to remove any overt symbol that might link her to her admirer. This ambiguity, this blend of factual commission and poetic undercurrents, is precisely what makes early Da Vinci works so compelling. Putting Ginevra de Benci into Leonardo's career timeline is crucial for appreciating his development. In the mid-1470s, Leonardo was in his early 20s, still technically working under the tutelage of Andrea del Verrocchio, but rapidly developing his own distinct style. This portrait serves as a bridge, linking the traditional Florentine precision he learned from his master with the atmospheric, psychological realism that would define his maturity. We see him experimenting with oil paint over tempera, exploring subtle blending techniques, and demonstrating a profound grasp of botany in the juniper bush. More than just technical skill, this work showcases his emerging intellectual signature, the integration of philosophy, optics, and human psychology into a cohesive artistic whole. It's evidence of a mind moving beyond craft toward true genius, already setting the stage for masterpieces like The Last Supper and the Mona Lisa. This portrait is the Rosetta Stone for understanding young Da Vinci's revolutionary methods.
Centuries later, the mysteries of this painting took a forensic turn. Thanks to advanced conservation science, including infrared and high-resolution digital magnification, researchers made an astonishing discovery. They found the unmistakable trace of Leonardo da Vinci's own fingerprints preserved on the paint surface. These prints, detected in the fine layers of paint near the surface, are believed to have been left when Leonardo smoothed or blended pigments with his bare fingers, a common technique used in oil painting called finger blending, essential for achieving his signature sfumato. The prints were primarily found in the light, reflective areas, suggesting he used his fingertip to gently soften the edges where the highlights met the shadows. This wasn't merely a lucky find. It was physical, undeniable evidence linking the painter's body directly to his creation, providing an intimate glimpse into his manual working process, literally capturing the touch of genius on the canvas.
The discovery of Leonardo's fingerprints holds immense scholarly value. Firstly, it provides definitive physical evidence supporting the attribution of the painting to him, eliminating any lingering doubts about authorship. But more importantly, the size and morphology of the prints can potentially provide clues about Leonardo's physical characteristics, or even his working habits, like which hand he preferred to use for fine blending adjustments. The fact that he was still using his fingers to blend paint, even in a formal commission, speaks volumes about his experimental nature and willingness to deviate from academic convention to achieve the desired optical effect. Unlike modern artists who rely exclusively on brushes, Da Vinci utilized every tool available to him, including his hands, to push the boundaries of realism and atmosphere. This small, often invisible detail confirms the hands-on, deeply intuitive process that fueled his brilliance, showcasing his total immersion in the materiality of his art. The portrait of Ginevra de Benci, displayed today at the National Gallery of Art in Washington, D.C., is much more than just a beautiful painting of an influential young woman. It is a historical record of Leonardo da Vinci's foundational genius. From the innovative three-quarter pose and the melancholic psychology on the front, to the layered philosophical and poetic symbols on the reverse, and finally, to the forensic evidence of his own touch preserved in the paint, this artwork is a testament to the comprehensive and multidisciplinary approach that defined him. It proves that even in his early career, Da Vinci was already thinking like an engineer, a botanist, a poet, and a revolutionary painter, crafting works that seamlessly merged truth and illusion. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes the greatest treasures of history are found not only in the most famous works, but in the ones that hold their secrets closest. What other secrets might the surface of this masterpiece still be hiding? Only time and further scientific analysis will tell. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates and deep dives into history's greatest minds.